there's something in politics where we all sort of know the truth about the U.S.'s relationship with Saudi Arabia. The truth is that every president of my lifetime has been too soft on the Saudis. President Reagan was too soft on the Saudis. George H.W. Bush sold AWACS to the Saudis. Bill Clinton was very soft on the Saudis. President Bush was very soft on the Saudis. Barack Obama was very soft on the Saudis. And now President Trump is very soft on the Saudis. This has been true for literally decades, because ever since...
Well, you don't want an issue with the Saudis, you want them to be your ally enemy, man?
Strategic ally of the United States, and that means they've been able to get away with an awful lot of stuff that we wouldn't allow a normal ally to get away with. Well, we all know that, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to say the quiet part out loud, which is that we overlook a lot of Saudi Arabia's human rights violations because they're strategically valuable to us. President Trump, never a fan of leaving anything unspoken. According to the CIA, had Khashoggi murdered at the Saudi at the specific direction of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, according to the Washington Post. Now, bin Salman has been the supposed reformer in Saudi Arabia who is making overtures toward the United States, overtures toward Israel, and was a strong strategic ally of the Trump administration. So President Trump put out a statement with regard to the Khashoggi murder, based on this new report that the CIA had said that the Saudi Arabian government was responsible for it, and in particular, Mohammed bin Salman. And his statement is in equal parts true, false, and bad. Like, really, there's a lot here. So the sort of framework that you should understand about the statement about Saudi Arabia is several things can be true at once. One, Saudi Arabia is a terrible, terrible human rights violator. They do terrible things on a regular basis.
That's true, man. They do terrible things on a regular basis, man.
They do not allow people of the Judaic faith to enter the country. And there are a lot of problems with Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia has a lot of issues. They treat women like garbage and have for decades. They have point number one. Point number two, Saudi Arabia is a very important counterweight to Iranian influence in the region. Iran, and Israel against the rising Iranian influence, and they are an important strategic ally and partner for the United States in the region. So both of these things can be true. One, Saudi Arabia violates human rights, and two, Saudi Arabia is an important strategic ally against a much more threatening power in Iran. And number three, you don't have to say out loud that number one is okay. Now, you're not supposed to say it's okay. Strategic ally, and still you can take action to punish them when they violate human rights. And also, you don't have to go out there and praise the violation of human rights or shrug at the violation of human rights, because that has some pretty negative consequences, such as the
So you want to be your enemy, man? You don't want to be on good terms with them? You don't have to like them, but you have to at least be showing a faith of having good relations. So you know what? You can pretend to be mad at him privately, and then you won't know what hit him if he has to strike him, but in the public, he has to put that persona that they're good buddies, man. Hey, what's goddamn busters, and have some fun together and play some video games and even play combo all night. They have to be nice to one another, tummy. But behind the scenes, he may be playing something. How do you know he's not, man? If he has to.
Of the last half century. So he did all that, and that was real bad. It's not better when Trump does any of that. Okay, so here is President Trump's statement. You can tell that President Trump was heavily involved in writing this because it has a lot of exclamation points, and it is phrased exactly as President Trump would phrase it. So this one is pretty genuine. Here's what President Trump had to say. He said, "The world is a very dangerous place." Right, which is his way of saying, because the world is a very dangerous place, we have to look the other way when some of our allies do bad stuff. Again, this is not untrue, and we all sort of know it. It's also not a great thing to say out loud if you're the President of the United States and you're supposed to take human rights seriously. He then gives a paragraph of truth about Iran. He says, "The country of Iran, as an example, is responsible for a bloody proxy war against Saudi Arabia in Yemen, trying to destabilize Iraq's fragile attempt at democracy, supporting the terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon, propping up dictator Bashar Assad in Syria. Iran states openly and with great force, death to America and death to Israel. Iran is considered the world's leading sponsor of terror." So far, so good. Although this is true, Iran is extraordinarily dangerous. Despite Iran's regional ambitions, maybe because of those regional ambitions, the Obama administration went out of its way to lie on behalf of the mullahs, send them billions of dollars
the mullahs
for them. Which is why it's particularly galling when you see members of the Obama administration suddenly coming out of the woodwork to condemn Trump for playing nice with the Saudis and for covering for the Saudis, when the Obama administration did that after the Iranians, forget about the Saudis killing dissidents. The Iranians killed American soldiers in Iraq, like 500 American soldiers, which is significantly more dangerous than just on a geostrategic plane. Much more dangerous for the Obama administration to play nice with the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism than it is for the Trump administration to play nice with the human rights violating evil dictatorship in Saudi Arabia, who also happens to strategically align with us in certain valuable ways and does not have the military capacity to extend its regional influence beyond Yemen, basically. President Trump then continues. He says, on the other hand, Saudi Arabia would gladly withdraw from Yemen if the Iranians would agree to leave. They would immediately provide desperately needed humanitarian assistance. Additionally, we are part. We are before
the politics that were in good relations. You know, we're trying to make pretend our enemy. I took the hands out the pulse of Saudi. If he has to do something to him, Trump can easily do something to him. When does that change, Ben? When does that change, Ben? How has that changed, Ben?
Every other day of the year. You don't need to wear those fat pants every other day. You should be getting a tailored suit that makes it look like James Bond. Indochino makes the best suits on the market. They are tailor-made for you.
Yeah, you would make a terrible James Bond, Ben, so don't use that analogy. You wouldn't be a good James Bond. That's why you don't drink chicken stirred martini. You drink a martini, Ben? No. You're kosher. James Bond's not kosher. I don't think James Bond's a Jew either.
Measurements for an unparalleled fit and comfort. Guys love the options to personalize the details.
Sorry, you will not be playing James Bond in the next movie.
I've been to the Indochino showroom in Los Angeles. I went and I had them personalize the suit just for me. It really does feel like
James Bond, the Saudi king.
Make a lot of money in an economic deal, so it's okay if Saudi Arabia comes distance. This is patently immoral. And if Barack Obama had said it, he'd be saying exactly that at the time. And by the way, President Trump doesn't feel this way about China. Right?
Yeah, Ben.
Out on some defense contracts with Saudi Arabia. The president says we need to declare a trade war on China for moral reasons and strategic reasons. I think there is some truth to that, but I don't think that he can maintain those positions separately. That China bad, Saudi Arabia good. That doesn't hold. But here's where he gets to the really bad stuff. The president's in this statement. He says, the crime against Jamal Khashoggi was a terrible one, and one that our country does not condone. We now know many details of this horrific crime. We've already sanctioned 17 Saudis known to have been involved in the murder of Mr. Khashoggi and the disposal of his body. Representatives of Saudi Arabia say that Jamal Khashoggi was an enemy of the state and a member of the Muslim Prince Mohammed bin Salman vigorously deny any knowledge of the planning or execution of the murder of Mr. Khashoggi. Our intelligence agents...
Mr. Khashoggi!
But it could very well be that the Crown Prince had known of this tragic event. Maybe he did, and maybe his CIA said he did. So there's that, but maybe he did, maybe he didn't. So that being said, we may never know all the facts surrounding the murder of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi. Now, let's be straight about this. President Trump makes these sorts of denials all the time. You remember in Helsinki, he met with Vladimir Putin, and then Putin said, and President Trump came out and said,
no, but his actions speak louder than his words, and whatever he says, so what?
So President Trump will buy denial from people who he thinks treat him nicely, and the same thing is true from Mohammed bin Salman and the Saudi Crown Prince.
So what? He still got their hands on the pulse.
It fits his preconceived notions. With that said, it's a really useful line. Not only is it useful, it's not moral. It's not moral to undercut your own CIA's finding that a specific murder was ordered in the direction of a key ally, and then you're like, well, maybe, I don't know, were you there? Right? Like that is not a good thing for the president of the United States to be saying. And again, I was all up, on Obama when he did very similar sort of stuff. We'll get to Obama in just a second.
Well, it's not the same thing, Ben. Listen to Mark Levin Show podcast on YouTube, and you will know it's not exactly the same thing. We listen to his show. Well, it's played every 3 hours on the Mark Levin app channel on iHeartMedia. You know what? Still, go 12 o'clock, turn it on, and listen to him discuss it. It's yesterday's show. He does not come on till 6. Maybe it's him tonight, maybe it's a fill-in, but that's what you need to do when you get educated. You're making a big deal about nothing, Ben.
Largest oil producing nation in the world. They've worked closely with us and have been very responsive to my request to keeping oil prices.
Mark Levin, the great one, an undisclosed location. They're secretly going to attack Ben Shapiro.
That wish to do us harm. Simply, it is called America First. So America First means that we have to basically...
Okay, now lead on a bit. Ain't Ben Shapiro, it's Mark Levin. Yeah.
You can suggest that we need to continue military support for Saudi Arabia. You can say that they are a strategic ally. But what you can't do, and what you shouldn't do as President of the United States...
Are you overreacting, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, I made a mistake. Who knows? Whatever. Like, that is not a good look for any president of the United States.
That's not a good look. I guess he needs to go to Indochino and get a good suit, right? Maybe they don't have a good look. Hey, Ben, shut up, man.
President Trump
Mark Levin is on the radio.
respect for human rights and the expectation of trust and honesty in our strategic relationships. Now, here is where we start to get to, which is
the dicey territory.
President Trump in a way they never went.
When you're dicing up peppers and onions and mushrooms.
Cuba, with Vladimir Putin. Right? I mean, that stuff is really, really...
Get out of your bubble, Ben. Get out of your Never Trump bubble.
And essentially suggests the only reason...
Get out of your Never Trump bubble.
...share partisan politics over this stuff. With that said, here was President Trump's day. So President Trump, at this point, is almost trolling. He says, the reason that we are not doing anything about Saudi Arabia is it's America first.
All I do is focus on this country and making great deals for this country. I don't focus on making great deals for myself because I don't care anymore. So Saudi Arabia has nothing to do. What it does have to do with me is putting America first.
Okay, so, and the idea is that America's interests require us to do this. And here's the point. America's interests do not actually require us to greenlight the murder of dissidents by strategically partnered governments. It doesn't actually require us to do that. That is the point that I'm making over and over here. And when President Trump says he's not going to destroy the economy on the basis of them murdering a citizen of their country, well, you know, again, the idea that
a country that's spending hundreds of billions of dollars and has helped me do one thing very importantly, keep oil prices down so that they're not going to $100 and $150 a barrel. Right now, we have oil prices in great shape. I'm not going to destroy the world economy, and I'm not going to destroy the economy for our country by being foolish with Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so, you know, again, the idea that we are supposed to greenlight bad Saudi behavior because they keep the oil prices low, that's been true for decades. But when the President of the United States says it out loud, it makes it sound as though the United States is somehow enthralled to the oil prices in Saudi Arabia, which, if he was being grilled at the State Department, he was asked, you know, does...
Look at Buzz in his little bubble. Ben is in his little bubble.
Putting U.S. business interests ahead of human rights concerns.
Ben, get out of your bubble, Ben. Get out of your little bubbles, Ben. Get out of your little bubbles, Ben, and your Never Trump hatred. Never Trumper, Never Trumper, Never Trump, never.
To make sure that America continues to thrive. If we do that, the world is better off for it too, and the Middle East is better off as well.
Okay, now, as I say, I am not opposed to the Trump administration's general policy with regard to Saudi Arabia. In fact, I think that general policy is largely correct. But with all of that said, they're opening themselves up to charges that they don't care about human rights, which seems to be somewhat true, and to the idea that
he does care about human rights, Ben. What does his accent say he doesn't care?
Critical, completely politically driven, and not driven in any real way by serious objections to what President Trump actually did. I'll explain that in just 1 second. First, let's talk about your sleep quality. So, there's no...
What's not, Ben? What's not talking about your sleep quality?
Built for somebody else. Helix Sleep has now built a sleep quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete. They use the answers to match your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress. Whether you're a side sleeper or a hot sleeper, whether you like a plush or a firm bed, with Helix, there's no more guessing and no more confusion. Just go to helixsleep.com/Ben, take that 2-minute sleep quiz. They'll match you to a mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life.
The best sleep of Benjamin's life. He sleeps nice, comfortably at night, worrying about Donald Trump. Hey, this person is dangerous. Yeah, and turn, and I turn and I toss, and the Ben Shapiro, I toss and I turn, and I turn and I toss.
$5 off your mattress order.
And my mattress order, my mattress.
/Ben. They also have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. You really got nothing to lose and everything to gain in terms of sleep quality. These mattresses are so good. I got one for my sister for her wedding. She loves it.
Yeah, my sister for a wedding. Sister for a wedding. Yeah.
The left's response to President Trump is hypocritical.
Woo!
Those of us who called out President Obama for his insane support for the Iranian regime have every right to now say that the President of the United States, as a Republican, should not be kowtowing to the Saudi government. But the same people...
How is he kowtowing? How is he kowtowing? His words or his actions say he's not kowtowing. His words may be trying to play nicey nice, but his actions say different, that we actually take action when need be. Ben, you're overreacting. Action, they're just words, Ben. Is he really kowtowing, Ben? Really? His actions still has the thing on the pulse. If he has to, he will take out him.
And
So, like, the backs don't care about your feelings, Ben. The backs don't care about your feelings. If you're just in danger, or that what he said is a problem, No, I don't think so. They're just based on feelings. Your facts are based on your feelings, man. Your facts are based on your feelings, man.
Assassin MBS, Nabi Mohammed bin Salman, will leave the world even nastier. This statement is a green light for would-be murderers in countries that have things Trump thinks we need. Samantha Power, you and your administration said that there was a red line in Syria with the use of chemical weapons. Then you turned over the entire country to Bashar and Russians. You, Samantha Power.
You, Samantha Power.
Over half Iraq to ISIS. You, Samantha Power, were part of an administration that played PR agency for the Iranian regime.
Yeah.
Financiers of terrorism. You, Samantha Power, were responsible for an administration that kowtowed to the Cuban government, which jails dissidents for decades and tortures them. You, Samantha Powers, were responsible.
You, Samantha Power. You, Samantha Power. Give me the power. Give me the power.
I start to say, okay, so are they really angry at Trump?
Samantha Power.
Trump did something wrong there? Or are they angry at Trump just because he's Trump? Are they angry at Trump because he said that
Yeah.
administration did except against the Iranians and because they don't like Trump personally? It seems to me a lot more of the latter. So, for example, look at this insanity from Representative Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is a congressperson from Tennessee, and here he is suggesting that he's paid off by the Saudis. That's why he's doing this.
Because we need to know if foreign money being given to our president and or his family affects our foreign policy. That's why the American put in the Constitution to see to it that the president deals first for the benefit of the country and not for the benefit of himself.
Yeah, this is absurd. Even Breonna Keeler over at CNN was like, you have no evidence of this whatsoever. And then he tried to talk over her. But again, the reality is that the Obama administration did this with Iran in a much more spectacular and dangerous way. Mark Beeston had a column back a couple of years ago specifically talking about the kinds of lies that were being promoted by the Obama administration. Here is what he says. He says, the Obama administration told Congress it would not allow Iran access to U.S. financial institutions, issued a special license allowing Iran to do exactly that, unsuccessfully pressured U.S. banks to help Iran, lied to Congress and the American people about what had been done, admitted in internal emails that these efforts exceeded U.S. profile. Ben Rhodes, the Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications, told the New York Times Magazine he helped promote Ghani was elected president in 2013. In fact, the administration's negotiation actually began earlier with the country's powerful Islamic faction. The framework for the agreement was hammered out before Rouhani was even elected. So they were lying to the American people, and they've been continuing to play defense for the Iranian government ever since. John Kerry, no less than 4 months ago, was in Iran, basically telling the Iranians, wait out President Trump, maybe backing Obama administration officials have ripped into, for example, the Israelis for pointing out that Iran has not, in fact, been compliant with the nuclear deal. They said, no, Iran is compliant. We love Iran. Iran's doing great. So the idea coming from these folks that the Trump administration is doing anything new or extraordinarily terrible here is just a lie. The only difference is that Trump says stuff out loud that Obama did quietly. That is the only difference here. And the difference that Saudi Arabia actually is a strategic partner to the United States in a way that Iran is not. This is not whataboutism here. And this is not me saying that it's okay for Trump to do what he did about Khashoggi because Obama did the same thing with regard to Iran. The point that I'm making here is that Trump was wrong to say what he said about Khashoggi.
I don't think he's wrong at all. I don't think he causes any problems at all. He can put the Biden if he needs to. Barack Obama never did, Ben. Trump can still keep him under his thumb.
And unbased in fact. They have no capacity to do this in any
Sorry, Mark Levin doesn't agree with you. Sean Hannity doesn't agree with you.
Just absurd. There's an article from the New York Times about President Trump today, talking about how President Trump supposedly wanted the DOJ to indict and prosecute Hillary Clinton and former FBI. The New York Times, President Trump told the White House counsel in spring that he wanted to order the Justice Department to prosecute two of his political adversaries, his 2016 challenger, Hillary Clinton, and the former FBI director, James B. Comey, are people familiar with the conversation. The lawyer, Donald McGahn, rebuffed the president, saying he had no authority to order prosecution. Mr. McGahn will investigate accusations of abuse of power. To underscore his point, had White House lawyers write a memo for Trump warning that if he asked law enforcement to investigate his rivals, he could face a range of consequences, including
wingman.
General.
You can be my wingman anytime, Ben. Not Ben.
Contempt by Congress. No one at the IRS was ever prosecuted for the targeting of conservative groups. But Obama did it quietly. He didn't say it out loud, and that meant that he was filled with dignity and honor. And so some folks, Connor Friedersdorf over at The Nation, no, I'm sorry, Atlantic, He said, well, you're making excuses for President Trump on this story. No, I'm just telling the truth. I'm President Trump, which is President Trump says a lot of crap. Most of it never sees the light of day. Trump always says things out loud. There has not yet
Always does things right, regardless of what he may say. Whereas Obama did, he kissed the ring and the feet of every dictator from across the world and the globe. Trump's not doing that. Trump will act if he needs to, but you're reacting. Never Trumper.
These folks who are saying that I'm supposed to.
Yamaka.
That's silly. It's like saying that I'm supposed to treat my 2.5-year-old son the same way that I treat my wife when they make pronouncements on things. Like, no.
To your own son, to your own son.
It's not a thing. Okay, President Trump.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
He is not great at not saying things. It's a lot of stuff. And a lot of materialized. Forgive me if I'm not great for President Obama, because President Obama was a much more serious human being when it came to saying things that were correlated with his policy. Go back and look at all the statements President Trump has made, and see how they've correlated with his actual policy. The answer is not.
So Trump is not where he done too much. So why do you need to comment then? Because it's not where you're going to link to anything. Your bright shiny objects are trying to drag people